Welcome to the Living a Nordic Life podcast, where we explore a simpler, cosier and more intentional life the Nordic way. I'm Fiona McKenna, your Nordic living guide and founder of Living a Nordic Life, where I share all things Nordic living and show you that a Nordic life is the way to bring intentional calm and healthy habits into your own life, wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for ways to bring simplicity, coziness and calm into your life? Well, let me show you how. Visit the Living a Nordic Life website to explore how I can help you on your journey to simple, healthy and happy calm, the Nordic way. You can subscribe to the podcast right here. And if you want regular inspirational emails sent with love from Norway and straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters. And so now let's dive into our episode. What is self-care? And do we even care? At this time of year, I'm recording this late autumn here in Norway, and there are an awful lot of articles in magazines and online and in social media about self-care. Because we're coming up to the cold season, aren't we? When maybe we spend more time inside and we perhaps need to take care of ourselves a little bit better. But if you read any magazine article or post online, it seems like self-care is all about taking a bubble bath, making time for a few hours reading a book, or talking to a friend on the phone. And most of them seem to be directed at women. And I'm guessing that there are a lot of women listening to this. I'm sure there are some men as well, so hi, because self-care is about you too. But most of these articles seem to be directed at women and about the fact that we don't take as much care of ourselves and don't put ourselves at the forefront of things as much as maybe we should. But these things like taking a bubble bath and making time for a few hours of reading or having a hot chocolate, as lovely as they are not just self-care, or they are not what self-care is about. Self-care is much more grown up than that. These things might seem grown up, but they're not really. It's much more grown up than that. It's deeper than a few fluffy blankets, a cup of hot chocolate, or a stroll to the farmer's market. And I love those things as much as everybody else, especially farmers' markets. And they do make you feel lovely, don't they? You have that lovely feeling, especially if you have a basket, like I have. Use a basket, it's a really good idea. But especially if you have a basket, it makes you feel really nice and it's lovely, but it's fleeting. And it's not about long-term self-care. Self-care is about a deep, sustainable and long-lasting commitment to your own physical and mental health. In a world where we're constantly told to treat ourselves with fleeting indulgences, it's easy to mistake those small luxuries for true self-care. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think that we should have those small luxuries. I talk about it a lot. Those everyday simple pleasures that make us feel good, that make us look for the joy in just getting up, just having a cup of coffee, just looking out the window. All those things are great. But the reality of real self-care is far more profound. It isn't a one-off or a weekend treat. It's a thoughtful, deliberate practice that you do every day, and it underpins everything that we do. It's about creating a foundation of well-being within ourselves and around us that allows us to live our lives with resilience, with joy, and with clarity. We're clear about what it means to take care of ourselves. And not all of those things can feel terribly positive, I have to say. Some of those might be boundaries. That's self-care. And boundaries are very important. It's very important to know when to say no. Because otherwise you can find that there are people out there who will take advantage of you, especially if you're somebody that always says yes and always tries to people please. Then you need to start learning how to say no. That is also self-care. But self-care is also something that we don't simply do overnight. We can't just click our fingers and wake up in the morning and think, right, okay, everything's going to be different. It takes time. It's a lifelong commitment to ourselves that is grown up. It's sensible. And it's really, really important not just to us, but also to the people around us, to the way that we are allowing them to see us, that we have things that we need to do to make sure that we are looked after in ourselves. And also, if you have a family or a partner or kids, you can't take care of them if you're not looking after yourself. It's not about Sunday fun days. As great as they are, you can't do that every Sunday. Well, maybe you can, but you shouldn't. It's not going to be good for you. And it's not about larging it up all weekend or being so lazy that we forget to eat vegetables for weeks on end. I'm sure we all do that every now and again, don't we? We think, I'm just going to indulge a little bit. You know, maybe have a couple of slices of chocolate cake, or there's a party and there are some cakes left over. We have that quite a lot because we normally do a lot of cakes. There's always some cakes left over that might take a little bit of time to eat. I try to freeze them if I can, I have to say. But you can do that for a little bit, but you can't do that for days or weeks, because at the end of it, you're going to feel really grotty. And you need to make sure that you are feeding yourself properly. True self-care is about that fabulous, all-encompassing feeling of great health that makes us feel like everything is possible. You know, you wake up in the morning. Sometimes, I'm hoping that you wake up in the morning like this all the time. And if you take really good care of yourself, you should. Waking up in the morning with that feeling of joy that you're not quite sure why you're happy, but you're looking forward to what the day is going to bring, and you know that you're going to be able to cope with it. It's about a feeling of joy for each day that we only get when we take care of ourselves. And it's about knowing that despite what life throws at us, we have something of a firewall to safeguard our mental and physical health. And to safeguard it from that onslaught that modern life so often brings. It does, doesn't it? How can you escape it? You put the TV on, it might be the news, and happy news is not news, is it? When it comes to media, it's the things that are unhappy that people want to watch, and the things that are unhappy that they want to tell you about. And it's the same if you bring up Google, for example. There's going to be something at the top of the page that isn't as positive as it could be. And social media, especially as the algorithms have changed and you're seeing more adverts and less about the stuff that you want to see, unless you specifically go to that, like my group, which is always positive. But if you start doing that, then, and doom scrolling, you know, after you've looked at the stuff, it starts to get you down. It's not self-care. Turn that phone off and go and do something else. When we talk about self-care, it's important to recognise that it comes in more than one form. It's not just about one dimension of your life or about one small ritual. You know, you might have a ritual where you come home from work and you put the kettle on and you have a cup of tea and you sit down for 15 minutes and you decompress. And it's that kind of buffer between work and home life, isn't it? That's great. But that's not all of it. It has to be a lot of other things as well. It's multifaceted. It touches both our mental and our physical health. And it's a practice of balance and consistency. You have to keep doing it. You can't just do it once. You have to get into the habit of that. And research has shown that if you get into the habit of doing something, or you start doing something, not into the habit, but if you start doing something, it becomes a habit after 30 days. So, persevere. But it's also about respect for yourself. It's holistic, and that means that it's about every part of your life, and about having an understanding that one part affects another. Here in Norway, everybody likes to compartmentalise friendships, compartmentalise different aspects of life, and that's great. You know, putting things in a box. And once you close that box, you know, that work box, kind of put it away, and you can open the home box, if that makes sense. And that is great, but it doesn't really work for this because things meld into each other, don't they? You know, the edges become blurred. And of course, one part of life leaks into another part of life, especially if you've got something stressful going on. So let's start with mental health, the part that often gets overlooked in favour of instant fixes or indulgent treats. As lovely as they are, don't say no to them because that's good for your mental health as well. But you don't need to say yes to them every day. Mental self-care is about carving out a space for yourself to think, to breathe, and to exist without pressure. It's about giving yourself time outside obligations and distractions and allowing yourself time out to reset. It's about not letting others step over your boundaries, whether that's at work, in your social life, or within family relationships. And that's what I was saying about saying no. We have to know when we can say no. And that might be simply turning off your phone. I don't take phone calls after 9 o'clock at night. Turn your phone off. People will get used to it after a bit, or you can message them and say, don't call me. I'm now, that's it, going to bed. Turn the sound off when you go to bed, if you have to have your phone there, unless you're expecting some kind of emergency, in which case don't. But if you're not, turn your sound off. Don't reply to social media messages. Don't reply to work emails. People have to start to understand that you have boundaries and you are allowed to say no. And saying no is very liberating, believe me. When you start doing it, it's great. You don't have to say no to everything, but say no to the things that aren't comfortable. If you don't want to go to that thing, say no. You don't even have to give a reason, just I don't want to. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. It's also about safeguarding relationships that matter. True self-care means investing in people who lift you up, who raise your base level of happiness, not those who drain you. I'm sure you've got some of those in your life. You're bound to have. Those ones that make you feel like, oh my goodness, after you spent like 15 minutes with them, half an hour with them, you have to go home and have a lie down. And especially if you're an introvert, it can be really draining. Or if you're neurodivergent, you're allowed to go and lie down. It resets your nervous system. It's good for you. By taking care of your mental well-being, you build a resilience that acts like a buffer against stress, burnout, and the relentless pace of modern life. And although you might think that protecting your mental health, particularly stress, is only mental, it's not. It affects you physically as well. But self-care doesn't stop at just our minds. Our bodies are our homes. We live in them. And we need to take care of them. That's just as important. Physical health self-care starts with the basics. A good diet, plenty of water, not with anything in. If you can try drinking just water as it is, please do that. If you do that and you start doing that, you realise how delicious water is. My family love a drink of water. They particularly like Norwegian water. When we travel, we have this big fuss about the water tastes funny. It smells funny. This might be a neurodivergent thing, actually, I have to say, but yeah, it smells funny. It tastes funny. Why does this water taste so thick? This is what I had recently. It's got the texture of milk. So we quite frequently have to buy spring water, even though I think the water is okay. Apparently, if you hold your nose and drink it, then you're all right. This is what my kids say. But we do love a glass of water. And when we come home to Norway, one of the first things we do is have a glass of water, and everybody's like, oh my God, that is the most delicious thing I've ever had. I just love a glass of water. Try and get into that. Water is great. And so is a good diet. Eat seasonally. Eat the rainbow. Eat plenty of fruit and vegetables and fresh things, and try to go for the things that have the least number of ingredients in. If it's got less ingredients in, it's going to be better. Don't buy the thing that's got 30 ingredients. And also things that you don't recognise. That's going to be ultra-processed food, which is really bad for us. So if it's got some ingredient in that you can't buy and use at home, try and put it back and get something else. Get a banana or some tomatoes or something like that, please. But it's also about regular movement. It's about getting outside and moving about. It's about being mindful of what you fuel your body with and taking the small daily actions that support your overall well-being. Avoiding too much junk food. That isn't about restriction. It's about creating habits that make you feel alive and energetic. And if you do need snacks, you can have healthy snacks or make your own. Why not? That's fun as well. That's a little bit of self-care. Taking care of yourself by making your own food. And that can actually make you feel good too. I'm saying that as a chef. Of course, I love food, you know that. And that's something that I really love to do. I love to cook, and it makes me feel better, especially if I feel a bit fed up. And I love to cook for other people because then I know I'm taking care of them as well. Looking after your weight, checking in with your eyesight. I have to do that myself, actually. I'm preaching here, but yeah, I do need to go and have an eye test. As one of my friends will tell you, after I was talking to her last week about it, she was like, when did you last go for your eye test? It's like, it was quite a long time ago. And she almost died laughing when I told her when. But yes, and making regular visits to the doctor necessarily need to go. But we are all part of this grown-up approach. It doesn't feel like self-care, does it, that? Some of that can feel really boring, going for an eye test. But it is self-care. And it's really important. And that's a really grown-up adult way to look at it. Time outside is another thing. Walking, hiking, or even just taking some time to sit in the fresh air. It reconnects us with nature, which always makes us feel good. You know this, I talk about this a lot. And it provides us with a mental reset. But it also benefits our physical well-being because we've got to move, we've got to get out there, we've got to breathe some fresh air. We've got to look at nature, we've got to be in nature, you've got those sounds of the birds. Even if you just go and sit in a park, or you just go and sit outside your front door, especially if it's the winter, do that. Go and sit outside your front door and look at the night sky. It's lovely. What's beautiful about real self-care is that it doesn't feel like a chore. Once you start doing it, it doesn't. You have to make it a practice. It's a way of life, not a fleeting indulgence. It's about creating rhythms and rituals that nourish you on a daily basis. That's how you need to see it. Not as, oh my goodness, I can't have that bar of chocolate, or I really want a bag of crisps. No. Have some grapes, have something that nourishes you and feel good about that. Know that you're making a really grown-up, sensible, adult decision about how you take care of yourself. Over time, these consistent choices become habits that elevate your health and your level of happiness, I promise you. And it allows you to meet life head on with energy and with confidence. A key point I want to emphasise is that self-care is really personal, deeply personal. What works for one person may not work for another. And that's okay. You don't have to do it the same way. You could try somebody else's idea, why not? You might discover something new. But the core idea is that you take responsibility for your own well-being in a way that is sustainable and meaningful for you. Experiment with different things. See what works. See what feels good. If you don't get that nice kind of warm, cosy feeling inside from it, don't do it. But it may involve quiet mornings with a cup of tea. It may be regular walks in the forest. Or it may be saying no more often or actively seeking support when you need it. That's self-care as well. And people do want to help you. Be surprised how much they do. Each choice, no matter how small, is a brick in the foundation of your long-term well-being and habits that you're creating. At its heart, at its core, self-care is about respect. It's about respect for yourself, your body, and your mind. It's a commitment that grows as you grow, and it's a practice that adapts with seasons, with life's seasons. Because what was self-care in your 20s is not going to be the same self-care that it was in your 50s. It's about building a protective layer around yourself, a kind of bubble, so that you can live fully, you can respond to challenges with calm, and you can celebrate the joy of being alive without feeling constantly depleted, tired, fatigued. Oh my God, I've got so much going on. I feel so overwhelmed. So let's move away from the cliches of self-care. Let's stop measuring it in bubble baths, in brunches, in indulgent weekends. True self-care is mature, intentional, and deeply nurturing. It's about mental and physical health. It's about boundaries and relationships. It's about daily choices that may seem small but add up to a lifetime of resilience, vitality, and joy. And when we embrace this grown-up understanding of self-care, we unlock a sense of freedom and well-being that no magazine article or Instagram post can ever replicate. Remember, self-care is not a luxury. It's not a trend. It's the essential, ongoing, life-affirming practice of living well. Living well with your mind, body, and spirit. And that, in my view, is the real Nordic way to care for yourself. And I will see you in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Living a Nordic Life newsletters so you can get an email when I release a new episode. It's a quick and easy way to keep up with all things Nordic living. Please visit livinganordiclife.com. You can listen to Living a Nordic Life on lots of podcast apps, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and plenty of others. If you've enjoyed the Living a Nordic Life podcast, why not leave me a rating? So that's the end of Living a Nordic Life for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.